Us now is a old friend, a great friend, an amazing patriot, and a congratulations is in order to the Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins. So good to see you, Brooke, and it's amazing to see you in the cabinet for President Trump. Congratulations.
Oh, Charlie Kirk, I mean, really, what a joy on so many levels. I know we have gotten to talk quite a bit off of the camera and off of your show, but this is the first time I've been back on the show, and I'm just so grateful to do it. But thank you so much. It's the honor of a lifetime.
So there's a lot of attention right now on the Department of Agriculture and kind of the mess that Joe Biden left you. The thing that is a talking point of the Democrats, and to be fair, a reality a lot of Americans are experiencing, is the price of eggs. Separate fact from fiction. Why is it that egg prices have gone up so dramatically, and what is the plan to bring those prices down?
Well, it's funny, all of the talk in Washington and certainly the amazing State of the Union, which was unbelievable. I'm sure you've spent a lot of time on your show talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's what's happening with Ukraine, what's happening with America across the world, what's happening at the border. I mean, what's really happening across all of government with Elon and Doge it's just been astounding. It's another revolution. But at the end of the day, if the single mom who lives in Detroit, Michigan, can't go to the grocery store and afford a carton of eggs, then the world's not right? I mean, it's that sort of pocketbook issue, and that as Charlie, you and I have long battled together to take the American dream to every corner of our country. These are really real significant issues. I don't have my chart here with me, but if I did, and by the way, President Trump loves this chart, but it shows that for 40 years, the price of eggs was pretty static. It was right around $1.50, $2 a dozen. Then under Obama, it went up, not surprisingly because of overregulation and higher taxes, et cetera. The cost of input went up, but not significantly, maybe from $1.50, $2 to $2.50, $3. Then under Trump, without anything intentional, but just because less government, lower regulations, everyone did better, the prices went back down. But then under Biden, they skyrocketed 230% higher than what they were under Trump 1. And there's reasons for that, overregulation, et cetera. But the avian bird flu, which is a virus that these chickens have gotten, is a huge reason. The Biden team basically depopulated about 150 million egg-laying hens last year, which is the protocol. We're looking at the protocol now to see how to tweak it so that hopefully we don't have to do that moving forward. But we did. We rolled out a 5-point plan about a week ago, includes deregulation, includes repopulation much more quickly, includes importing eggs from other countries for the short term, and then for the long term, figuring out how to solve for these viruses that are basically annihilating significant populations in our poultry industry.
And so I don't want to oversimplify it, but a bunch of chickens were killed, like 100 million, and therefore it restricts the supply and demand stays the same. And so the price goes up. That's right. Somewhat of a fair summation?
That's exactly right. Now, alongside the Biden crazy inflation, crazy overregulation, crazy spending, right? I mean, the bird flu has certainly been a massive driver in that, but it isn't just that. And, as much as we would love to get the price of eggs down to $2 by tomorrow, although I think we're making some good strides. I've seen some recent numbers. This is going to take a little while. It's going to take a little while to figure out how to solve for the flu. It's going to take a little while to get the deregulation, such as Prop 12 in California and line speeds and other things back to normal before they were in Trump 1. And frankly, just bring the cost of goods down across the country. But we're making incredible strides. I'm so proud of this president. He has just been we all know this, right? Such a warrior for everything that we care about. And my role now becomes, the farmers, the ranchers, the ag community, bringing prosperity back to rural America and getting the price of those eggs down. That's at least what he's told me.
So speaking more broadly, educate our audience about the duties and the responsibilities, all about what the Department of Agriculture does. People just think of it as, kind of corn or soybeans. It's a lot more than that. Kind of give us a little insight into your portfolio.
Well, it is. And when I got the call on November 23rd from President Trump, it was a Saturday before Thanksgiving. My husband and my 4 kids and I were driving to Auburn, Alabama for the Texas A&M Auburn football game, and very unexpectedly had the conversation that, really kind of changed everything. Although I will eventually go back and join you, Charlie, out in the trenches doing the great work outside. That's where my heart is. But it really is. It's a privilege. It's a blessing, but it's a big job. I mean, people assume, to your point, it's corn and soybeans and some beef, but it's also the food stamp program, which is a massive bureaucratic nightmare of a beast where we're not even really getting the food to the people who really need it most. And when we are, it includes Cokes and candy and all kinds of bad stuff. So there's a massive amount of work that we need to do there. It also includes the Forest Service. So we've got the largest firefighting unit anywhere in the country of any size of government is the United States Department of Agriculture Forest Service. We've got almost 30,000 firefighters in our community. So yesterday I was in North Carolina. They've got some fires that have popped up. They're a little bit scary, looking at the damage of Hurricane Helene, but also understanding what we need to do and the resources that are necessary to ensure we don't have another fire like what happened in California, that all the different components are working well together. You name it. I think USDA, it was the first agency, the first cabinet position created after the founding of the country. So, right, George Washington and Thomas Jefferson created defense and and state and attorney general, et cetera. They waited, almost 100 years, and then Abraham Lincoln created the Department of Agriculture. And then it was a little while longer before the other ones came along. And so I think it became a little bit of the dumping ground for all the things that didn't have a place in a federal agency. But that's part of the great role, and I welcome it, and I thrive with it. How do we realign the United States Department of Agriculture? How do we set a model for not just the federal government, but around the country on how you realign, how you reduce in force, how you become more effective and more efficient with much less money? And that's what we in our very small team right now, we're still trying to get people in the door, but that's what we're doing every day.
So let's also talk about tariffs. And I know there's a lot of back and forth on this. And by the way, the American people voted for tariffs, and they want tariffs.
Yes, they did.
My phone was lighting up like a Christmas tree. I'm sure yours was, from farmers and ranchers and people that are great folks. Hey, what's going on? Are we able to sell our product? Are we able to import our product? How are you guys thinking about this at the Department of Agriculture?
Well, there's no doubt, I've been now to 6 or 7 different states. I've only been in for about 2.5 weeks, I guess 3 weeks, and been to, a bunch of states, talked to a bunch of farmers, almost 200, I think, from around the country. Had a lot of them come to Washington. It's really important to me that I get outside the noise of Washington and outside the kind of the associations, et cetera. Not that they don't play a very good role, but I want to talk to the farmers directly. And in so doing, the number one issue for them is the uncertainty that tariffs and the potential trade renegotiations, what that means for our ag community. And listen, Charlie, in 100 years, I'm not sure that the ag community, that our farmers and ranchers have been operating at more of a razor thin margin than they are today. I mean, it is not a good place to be. Our exports, we have a trade deficit of $49 billion in ag, thanks to Joe Biden. It was zero when we left President Trump's first term. That is real money taken out of the pockets of our farmers. But the number one thing they're concerned about is trade. And so yesterday, the president, whom I have been talking to, and these are his people, right? We are his people. And he knows that the rural communities and the ag communities have been with him since the moment he came down that escalator. It took other people a lot longer to get on board. In early 21, when others were running for the hills and not supporting President Trump, this community was, and he knows that. So he mentioned the State of the Union a few times on Tuesday night. Farmers, I'm with you. I love you. Yesterday, I talked to them multiples of times as they were finalizing at least the 30-day deal to exempt ag products under USMCA going to Canada or Mexico, which is a huge relief, even if short term. They exempted fertilizer, also called potash, from Canada under a different kind of line. But at the end of the day, the president is hyper-focused on delivering for the American people. He was elected on tariffs being part of that toolkit in order to bring prosperity back to America. But I am so confident that he is also an everyday thinking about the real world effects on the backbone of this country and in rural America, which are our farmers.
So critically important. Secretary Rollins, it's nice to say that. Anything else that you, on your kind of front vision, things you're dealing with, you want our audience to be aware of? And what are your asks out of Congress with this big budget bill? What are some needs that you see, waste to cut, elimination, doge up the food stamps, where you're going to be going to Congress and say, hey, here are my big asks? So
at the end of the day, I think what's really important, and I'm assuming most of the people watching you today, Charlie, and are fans of yours, probably also watched the president on Tuesday night. This isn't easy, right? Revolution is never easy. And there are really hard decisions to be made. And there are days that, my goodness, how the concept of how you get this massive beast of the federal government that has gotten too big under both Democrats and Republicans, right? Democrats and Republicans. How do you take it back to where it is meant to be? How do you return the power to the people? How do you implement our founders' vision of self-governance when things have just gotten so out of control in Washington? And while, Charlie, you and I are both very much pathological optimists, I don't even know that you or I could have imagined the world that we're in right now in the best way, right? We've got Elon Musk, who is just doing such a phenomenal job. We have a cabinet. We're like family, and we're all working together. We've all now known each other and worked together for years at this point. So it isn't like we're in our silos anymore. This is a team effort to save America. So as I'm going to the Hill, and part of my message has been, Charlie, when you're in a revolution and you are significantly reducing the size of government, nothing will be perfect. It will be imperfect. There will be mistakes made, but this sort of shaking up the whole system and almost restarting it in a way, there's not going to be another opportunity, I believe, perhaps in our lifetimes, to do exactly what we're doing now. So even as I'm talking to our friends on the Hill, but even this morning, I talked to a Democrat senator, and I won't say who it was, but we had a very collegial conversation about what our goals are, what we're trying to do at USDA, the importance of returning, and realigning the agency. And for the most part, even those on the other side of the aisle understand that President Trump won with a mandate and winning the popular vote and winning all the swing states. And that's now what we're working to effectuate. So I have gotten nothing but mostly general positive feedback, even from those on the other side who understand what it is we're trying to do. And for the most part, doing it with the best, for our sake, we are doing it with the best of intentions. But even those on the other side, I think for the most part, recognize that while they are not in power, they may not make these decisions, but they realize this is what the American people have asked for.
Brooke, you're the greatest. Secretary Rollins, I should say, with all due respect.